Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe here with a look at Men of War Assault Squad 2. And it has indeed been a while since I've played one of these titles. I do own the first Assault Squad, but I never really got to play a whole lot of it. And I think I had played some of the earlier Men of War games as well. I had spent a lot of time in their very first title, which was Soldiers Heroes of World War II, many years ago. At least I'm pretty sure it was the same developer. It has that same aesthetic. There's a lot of similarities in regards to how they've done their infantrymen. The voice acting, for the most part, has always been terrible. And the gameplay is pretty much the same. You can repair tanks. There's a lethal and realistic ballistic model. Damage modeling seems to be fairly accurate in regards to vehicles. I'm sure there's some discrepancies here and there, but name me one game that doesn't have a problem in some area. Now, I believe this game was supposed to release in February, but as of this recording, the game is actually considered early access. I think that you can pick it up at a discounted rate if you own a copy of Assault Squad 1. I'll have a link in the description below if you want to pick it up on Steam. It's not a bad price point for what you get out of it. However, again, they do consider it early access, which means it's generally not finished. I guess they needed more time, but they also wanted some money. The biggest complaint seems to be in regards to multiplayer performance. Low frame rates, underutilization of the video card, and it looks like the developers are wanting to address that. They seem to be fairly active in the forums, at least in Steam discussions. I've read a few posts about how they want to add multi-core CPU support and DirectX 10, so that should help out a lot with how this game runs, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. I really believe that all games need to be supporting multi-core. I mean, I've got a Intel i7 with 6 cores on it, and I'd like to use them. You know, they're just going to waste here, but it's nice that they're considering it. And the single player, for the most part, seems alright. I noticed that some of the camera movements are a bit choppy from time to time. Otherwise, everything is maxed out. And if you're just looking at a still screen without me moving the camera, it's pretty smooth, even though YouTube is limiting your frame rate to 30, so you're not going to get to the full potential of this game's performance. For the most part, the gameplay feels really familiar. I think that even if you've played their oldest titles, you can jump into this, and it's really not that hard to get into. You know, jumping into tanks, repairing them, managing your squads. I think that they've improved the inventory systems a bit. I remember in the old games you would have to equip each individual. So if you had a 7-man squad and one guy was out of ammo, you would have to have that one guy go to an ammo crate or pick up ammunition from a dead soldier and equip him individually. Now it seems if you have that squad, you can just tell one guy to go, any guy you want, and then he will basically deliver that ammo to whoever needs it. So you hit the crate, inventory window pops up, drag over whatever you need, and then the other guy will receive it. And I think that's a lot better, because having to manage each individual was just a gigantic pain in the neck. I don't know if that's new to this game or if it was something that was in Assault Squad 1, but as somebody who's not really great at multitasking in these RTS titles, it's definitely a lifesaver. Now, there's of course many other UI changes, but I'm not really going to discuss them here. I think one of the biggest changes that I can talk about is the fact that they've removed that whole GameSpy multiplayer interface. As most of you know, I think GameSpy as a service and website has gone under. I'm not sure what happened to it. It's a bit sad in a way, because I grew up with GameSpy, and before that it was QuakeSpy, and you know, I have a big history with them. But you know, it was one of those things where the service was finicky and split between multiple websites, and if you had forgotten your password, it was always hard to get it back, and it was a giant mess, and I hated having to rely on it to play games online, and I think that was one of the biggest turnoffs for most people trying to play a Men of War title. But that's now gone, and this game is 100% Steam powered, so it's really easy to jump into with your existing Steam account and get into a game right away. For the most part, what I did notice is the multiplayer interface seems familiar. kind of clunky in some ways. They're not exactly the masters of UI design, but it works. I suppose if you're here looking for a purchase recommendation, then I'll get that out of the way early on in the video. You have it. It's a Men of War game, and you know that if it's not fantastic now, it's going to be. And there's going to be a lot of content, hours upon hours of gameplay, whether it's single player, cooperative, or adversarial. They always manage to deliver on this title. Of course, there's going to be people that are going to nitpick it, but even for somebody like me, I usually enjoy these games. I just don't play them a whole heck of a lot because they can be really addicting and time-consuming. But beyond that, they do warn you on the Steam page about it being early access, even though they switched over to that instead of launching when they said they would. So it's a bit weird and sketchy, but they are honest about saying, hey, it's early access. We warn you, if you're not willing to put up with bugs or glitches, then you might want to wait. So it's nice that they say that. However, they do kind of tease you with that 20% off price. So you want to think about it a little bit there. However, at full price, I think you're looking at $35 to $40 because there is a deluxe edition if you want that as well. It's a good value for the amount of time that you're going to get out of one of these titles. And, you know, if you pick it up later at a discounted rate, then even better if you're that patient. Again, I know a lot of people are going back to the first Assault Squad just because it's a little bit more stable online, but I think eventually this will be great fun. And I personally haven't had any major game-breaking issues in the single player. There's one thing that has always annoyed me about this game, though. It's in regards to the turrets of vehicles. It seems like the gunner is having a seizure most of the time because he's always looking left and right really quick. It's like he can't figure out what target to look at, and it's just so annoying, and it's always been a problem in these games, and I don't know why they can't resolve it. And in fact, there's also a turret traverse noise that you can just hear squeaking, and it just drives me insane, and I really wish that they would somehow resolve it. You can see the turrets there spazzing out. They're always doing that. It's not anything that ever stops unless there's only one target to aim at or you're in manual control of the vehicles. I really do enjoy the tactical pacing this game delivers, though. It allows you, for the most part, to take your time and think about angling and cover for your troops. Multiplayer might be a different situation because you got to take territory in many of the gameplay modes, but for the most part here in this skirmish, I was able to just really be careful about where I'm going, even though I still managed to get roughed up a bit, especially towards the end. But more often than not, if you're going to lose a tank, it's to some hidden anti-tank gun, kind of like in real life. Anyways, taking a look at the actual gameplay here, you can see that I was slowly creeping up the line here, trying to maintain left, mid, and right positions with armor and infantry. I probably could have called in a few more infantry units, or maybe even another tank, but I was mostly worried about clearing AT guns. There are some times where I just don't know AT is firing at me, kind of like you're seeing here, so I decided to back off and try to do that at an angle so I wouldn't get taken out. I was lucky to survive those shots there. But at this point, I'm like, well, I can't move up this line any further until we clear that. But it's really tricky because you do have limited resources and you need to get in there and capture. I think I had to set to normal difficulty, and even then it's pretty challenging, especially if you run into enemy armor. They're able to penetrate these earlier model tanks without too much problem, but it was a fairly even fight, it seemed, for the most part. And I would just try to utilize a lot of their own defensive cover. As you can see, I would move my troops in through the trenches and try to open up more targets of opportunity and perhaps find sight lines to be able to take out the AT guns, so then I could, of course, push in the armor. I also had maintained troop separation. I liked having separate squads. I didn't group too many units up. I, for the most part, used them as they were given to me, and really only combining them if I felt that they were separated after a squad defeat or perhaps after decrewing a tank. I think at one point I even start to repair that Cromwell that's sitting next to my Panzer IV, but I didn't think of it until it was too late, and I had turned it into Swiss cheese, so it was taking a while to repair. By the time it's anywhere near being done, I think the map advances and I actually lose sight of it, and I don't get to bring it into battle. Would have come in handy, but I'll have to remember that for next time. Biggest threat right now seemed to be infantry just hidden in the buildings. I switch over to some high explosive rounds on the tanks to take out larger groups of them. Beyond that, I'm just worried about taking out their 2-pounder AT guns and whatnot, just because they, like I said, are pretty small and are kind of placed all over the map. So I don't want to move the tanks up too far ahead. I try to maintain a good combined arms layout, keeping tanks with infantry. Once in a while you might get an infantryman with an AT grenade, and they're very devastating, so I try to keep my infantry next to tanks so that in case somebody tries to run for one of my panzers, they can take them out quickly. If I'm to point out one problem with this game, maybe it's that I didn't take major advantage of some of the resource points that I had in order to call in a few extra units. I think the next thing I bring in is an ammunition truck to rearm some of my infantry, but again, I could have called in some more infantry or maybe another tank, but I felt that I just didn't need it. It wasn't that I had a problem with my existing units. It was more so that I was afraid to move up and lose armor to the AT, so I was trying to figure out how I could cut a hole into the defenses, get that AT removed, and then push everything else in after that. I will admit I haven't really spent too much time in multiplayer with these games, especially adversarial. Cooperative is a different story. I used to have a friend that would play these games with me, and we had a lot of fun with it back then, but I think there was even a point in time where they didn't have an adversarial mode, and they added it into one of their games later on as a free expansion. But even there it was kind of glitchy, to say the least. Still fun, though. Here you can see me playing around with the inventory system. I had called in a supply truck to rearm some of my infantry. You can see that there's these red circles above some of the squad mates, and it would seem that that means that they're out of ammo or horribly low. And I think the only thing was trying to figure out who needed what, and perhaps there is a information page that shows what each individual has. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. I know I had a guy with a machine gun that needed some more ammo, so I started piling that into the inventory, but it wasn't satisfying his hunger. You can see that he still has that red circle above his head, so I wasn't sure what I was doing wrong, so I kept dragging in more ammunition, and I think eventually I end up throwing the whole inventory into the squad. You can see some of the guys now reloading, but this guy here, the machine gunner, he's still not happy, and I'm thinking, well, why is that? What am I doing wrong? I thought that I didn't have to run over every squad mate, but I think you see me here inspect. Eventually I hit the button that transfers everything that will fit, and you can see it now rearming everyone, and I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe I needed more ammo than I had thought. I really was a little confused by it, but I'm sure that some of you will comment below and tell me what I'm doing wrong, and if anything, it's something that comes with time. I really hope I'm not wrong about the shared inventory system as far as squads are concerned. I think that it's absolutely necessary in a micromanagement game like this. I know it's not 100% realistic, but managing each member of the team is, in some cases, downright impossible, and was probably the most annoying thing to me in any of these titles. And then at this point, I'm just trying to remove some of that ammo because I had taken too much, and I want to give some to the other troops and run them over. Try to rearm them so that we can get back to the front line. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that this is going to conclude the commentary portion of this video. I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of the match play out, so you've still got a whole lot more to go if you're interested in watching the rest of the match. It's fairly entertaining, I think, but it's also a learning process at the same time. This is a game that I would like to say I want to keep covering on my channel. It is a perfect fit for it, but I also don't want to make any more promises that I can't keep, as I tend to play so many games that they're all hard to keep up with. This one is probably fantastic live stream material. So if you're not following me on twitch.tv/SideStrafe, I definitely suggest you do. It's free to do so, and there's a link in the description below. We tend to have a lot of fun on the live streams. It's a lot of community interaction, and this game, I think with its pacing, would again just be a perfect fit for it. But with that said, thank you so much for joining me. I will definitely see you on the next one.
Das Ziel ist in Reichweite! Feuerschutz! Jawohl! Ich brauche Munition! Hilfe!
Reinforcements have arrived.
Verstanden! Verstanden! Feuer auf mein Kommando! Unter Feuer! Für das Vaterland! Feuerschutz! Verstanden! Los! Verstanden! Jawohl! Verstanden! Sie sind überall! Nehmt sie unter Feuer! Feuerschutz! Jetzt! Give him hell! Verdammt! Das Ziel ist in Reichweite!
For king and country!
Feuerschutz! Jawohl! Das Ziel ist in Reichweite! Bereit machen zum Angriff! Zielt auf die Infanterie! Bereit machen zum Angriff! Feind voraus!
We have captured a strategic position. Herr Oberstleutnant, set up defenses around our new field HQ. Reports indicate that enemy forces will try to retake this position shortly.
Verstanden. Jawohl.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Verstanden.
Reinforcements have arrived. We have received reports from forward observers claiming there's a major enemy movement ahead. It seems like the assault is starting. Prepare yourself to defend our new field HQ.
Jawohl. Das Ziel ist in Reichweite! Lenker! Verdammter Feuer! Feuer! Das Ziel ist in Reichweite! Vorwärts! Feuerschutz! Jetzt! Das Ziel ist in Reichweite! Verstanden! Bleibt in Bewegung! Das Ziel ist in Reichweite! Sprenggranaten laden! Ich brauche eine Granate! Bereit machen zum Angriff! Zielt auf die Infanterie! Zielt auf die Infanterie! Verstanden! Feuer auf mein Kommando! Munition laden! Los! Das Ziel ist in Bewegung! Geht auf Feuer! Jawohl! Gegner von links! Bleibt in Bewegung! Alle schon! Jetzt ist das! Feuerschutz! Oh Gott! Bereit machen zum Angriff!
Jawohl. Reports indicate our reinforcements are on the way. Keep it up. We have to defend our position at all costs.
Jawohl! Ist alle! Kommando! Feuer auf mein Kommando! Ich brauche Hilfe! Bereit machen zum Angriff! Feuer! Das Ziel ist in Reichweite! Direktes Feuer! Feuer auf mein Kommando! Los! Verstanden! Feind voraus! Jawohl!
Jawohl.
Nehmt sie unter Feuer!
Jawohl.
Verstanden! Feuer auf mein Kommando!
Our reinforcements are almost here. Don't give up. We must smash our enemies for the fatherland.
Feuerschutz!
Eliminate the remaining enemy infantry and push them back. Reinforcements have arrived. Excellent job. You've made the fatherland proud.
Feuerschutz! Jetzt! Jawohl! Jawohl! Zielt auf die Infanterie! Verstanden! Sie sind überall!